How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about welfare reform yet again. I've already spoken about Donald Trump and the America's Harvest Box, where he's going to take half of people's food stamp benefits that they get on their EBT card every month and put that to actual food boxes. So rather than people going out there to the store, buying certain things, possibly misappropriating the funds, not actually getting food, selling it for drugs, alcohol, whatever, half of your food will be non-perishable items that get delivered straight to your house. This is going to help many people who have food insecurity, people that have the funds misappropriated, children that are going hungry. There's no reason for a child to be hungry when they're getting food benefits to their home. So that was a great first step. Now, the next step is going to be cracking down on the actual welfare recipients, which is also a good thing. This was started in the 90s with Bill Clinton. He put the seed out there for what Trump is doing right now. This similar thing has also been done in other states. I think Paul LePage in Maine did a work requirement for welfare, and they saw their welfare doles go down by a dramatic amount. Now, when you hear work requirement, when you hear welfare reform, people are going to instantly say, what about the elderly? What about the children? It's about able-bodied adults, okay? If you're an able-bodied adult and you're on welfare, you're just collecting money, this is aimed towards you. It's going to get you out there. It's going to get you job training. It's going to get you in the mind of working. It'll make you be responsible and put some skin in the game to get your benefits. But we're going to go through this article to see exactly what they say. This is on the New York Post. I'm not sure if it's going to be biased or whatever. I've not read this article yet, but we're going to read it together to see what they got going on. And you see the headline over my left-hand shoulder. Trump just took a giant step toward actual welfare reform. And the article reads, President Trump's new executive order on welfare reform has laid the groundwork to get more Americans back to work while protecting and strengthening the safety net for the truly needy. As like I said, it ain't about people that, old people that are bedridden and stuff like that, people that have disabilities. It ain't about that. It's about the able-bodied adult that is not working who is collecting benefits. It's really trying to reform that whole thing, the fraud and abuse, people that are on drugs, et cetera, et cetera. But I digress. Federal agencies must take advantage of this opportunity to roll back harmful Obama-era policies that have trapped families in dependency and cost taxpayers billions. Exactly. And to go back to what I just said about drugs and whatnot, not everybody who is able-bodied and on welfare is on drugs or some kind of deviant person. A lot of them simply can't find work or they don't have the skills. I think this thing that we're going to be doing now will shore up their whole problem, but we're going to get more into the article and see what exactly is going on. Right now, America combines near record low unemployment with near record high welfare dependency, the result of state level eligibility exemptions, federal loopholes, and policies that put work on the back burner. Many of these policies created incentives for able-bodied adults to sit on the sidelines. Even though there is good, well-paying work to be done, the resulting safety net isn't a safety net at all. It has entrapped able-bodied adults in dependency and threatened resources for the truly needy. Exactly. And that's one thing that's a missing part to this whole conversation. Many times it's brought up because if you have people that are hogging up the welfare line, just like you have adults working very low wage job, minimum wage jobs, that's going to take away the ability of a young person to get in there. If you got a person that's like 50 years old working at Chick-fil-A as a fry cook, how is a 16-year-old going to get a job? How are they going to get their foot in the door when you have adults taking up the low-skilled jobs? Now, I'm not blaming the adult for that, but I'm just saying that's a similar thing that's happening here. When you're talking about resources being exhausted, why are they exhausted? Why is it that the resources are strained in certain places? It's because people that should not be on these resources getting them and people that are truly needy kind of get the short end of the stick. But let's keep going. But welfare reform can change that. And the Trump administration has just given agency leaders a roadmap to do so. The executive order signed Tuesday afternoon lays out principles to encourage economic mobility through work, a tactic that we've seen succeed in states across the nation. As like I said earlier with Paul LePage in Maine, he did the whole work requirement thing. And his thing wasn't even you got to go get a job necessarily. His idea was this. Either you do 20 hours of community service Like, you guys should just go out there and volunteer to do something, picking up trash on the road, volunteering at a hospital, do something for 20 hours a month, not a week, but a month. So you're talking about 5 hours a week, 1 hour in a 5-day week every day, 1 hour a day. Just go out there and do something. It calls for a strengthened work requirement for able-bodied adults, building off the requirement established in the 1996 bipartisan welfare reform. That was under Slick Willie Bill Clinton. Yes, it was. He started it. He laid the groundwork for this. Now we're just building upon it. Matter of fact, Obama rescinded some of those things that Slick Willie put into place during his administration. Shout out to Rob from Utah for giving me that little bit of knowledge right there. People don't really want to talk about that. When Obama does a thing, it doesn't really matter, because people that support him are going to support him no matter what. Nobody's going to say, hey, I don't like that. Me with Trump and the whole Syria thing, I support Trump, but I don't like that. I'm going to call him out on that. I'm not going to throw him to the wolves and abandon him, but I will call him out on that. A lot of Obama folks did not call him out on the whole welfare thing. People that are on the left that seem to be against welfare reform, but I digress. It calls for a strengthened work requirement for able-bodied adults, building off the requirement established in the 1996 bipartisan welfare reform that requires able-bodied adults on food stamps to work, train, or volunteer at least 20 hours per week. Despite evidence that work requirements work, cutting time spent on welfare in half, doubling incomes, and moving adults into over 600 diverse industries, the Obama administration approved waivers for those requirements in most states, citing high unemployment and severe job shortages. See, exactly what I said. And the thing is, if work is not available, we should go back to what Paula Page did in Maine. I keep going back to that because it worked beautifully. If you cannot get a job where you get paid, go out there and volunteer, do something. And 20 hours a week, okay, if that's too much, do 20 hours a month. These small requirements will most certainly reduce the welfare dependency, because people that are able-bodied and get welfare, a lot of them, some of them, I'm going to say, I don't know the exact percentage, but a large portion of them simply don't want to do anything. All they want to do is just eat off the welfare and do nothing. What happened when states no longer require able-bodied adults to work to receive benefits? Predictably, the number of able-bodied adults on food stamps skyrocketed, more than tripling since 2000, while the cost to taxpayers went up fivefold. A lot of people that are on food stamps are not even really poor. You got rich people, you got people that are out here scamming, you got criminals. So people that really need the benefits should be what we focus on, not these people who are gaming the system, and there's a lot of them out there. Even though unemployment has since rebounded to near record lows and more than 6 million jobs are open nationwide, these Obama-era waivers are still in place, and many states continue to operate expanded welfare roles under them. Yes, a lot of places have almost permanent vacancies and job openings, and industries that seem to not get a lot of attention, trucking, HVAC, plumbing, stuff like that. The jobs are wide open, and a lot of people that could potentially fill those jobs don't want to do them or don't want to do anything at all. They'd rather just sit at home and collect welfare benefits. And this cycle of dependency and the attitude of not working, it becomes generational. And before anybody says, oh, you just want to crash on black people, this, that, and the third, it ain't about black, white, whatever. This whole thing exists nationwide. And it's kind of funny. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but it's kind of funny when I hear that, because people that would kick back in the way I described just now, they will also say that it's not just black folks that's on welfare. They will say it's mostly whites that are on welfare. So I'm like, okay, if it's mostly whites that are on welfare, then how is me asking for a work requirement for welfare recipients somehow crashing on blacks? It doesn't make any sense. You would say that I'm crashing on whites logically, but I don't know if logical thought is still legal in the U.S., but I'm going to keep doing it as long as it is still legal. Federal agencies should follow the White House's guidance to change that by declining to renew these waivers and strengthening the work requirement for able-bodied adults, returning the food stamp program to the law's original bipartisan intent, and rolling back the unsustainable spike in welfare recipients. Exactly, 100% correct. Based on the experience of states that reinstated work requirements, the common sense reform will move millions of able-bodied adults from welfare to work while saving taxpayers billions, ensuring the safety net is in place for those who truly need it. Exactly. Because there is a finite number of resources. You don't want to exhaust these resources. You want to keep them for those who need them, not for any old Tom, Dick, and Harry. And you don't know if these people are going to be gaming the system, not gaming the system, or what's going on. Maybe they need it for a while, but after a certain period of time, they don't need it. And then also some may need it for a while and they get comfortable being on it and don't take any kind of real steps to get off it, because now they feel like they don't have any stress on their back. They could just live like that, but that's not the case. The good news doesn't end there, because the executive order spans multiple programs, including Medicaid and food stamps, among others. Agency leaders have the opportunity to bring much needed change to all welfare programs. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services must continue to approve states' waiver requests to implement work requirements for able-bodied adults in Medicaid, as more and more states follow the example set by Arkansas, Indiana, and Kentucky. Agencies should look to eliminate loopholes that allow automatic enrollment into welfare programs without asset tests or other tests of need, and should look to implement anti-fraud initiatives to crack down on welfare fraud and preserve limited resources for the truly needy. Yes, the Trump administration hasn't been shy about its desire for welfare reform, and rightly so, given out of control enrollment and spending that has resulted in a massive dependency crisis. And to touch on that real quick before we close out the article, dependency crisis is a generational thing. You have your great grandma was on welfare. She raises 6 kids, including your grandma, in the same house on welfare. Your grandma has the same mentality. She raises a bunch of kids, no dad, either one of them. And then your mom becomes that same way. She raises you and your 18 siblings the same way. And then you grow up with the same kind of mentality, not even really understanding how to live beyond that. It creates a permanent underclass that no American should want to be a part of. And I don't think, even if the underclass exists, that the government should be subsidizing that through these welfare programs, incentivizing long-term dependency. This executive order provides a pathway to a welfare system that protects the needy without trapping the unwary. History and experience tell us that if federal and state agencies follow through on the reform principles the president has laid out, we can protect the safety net for the needy while filling millions of open jobs and creating billions of dollars in federal and state budget savings. That would be a good day at work. Shout out to Christina Robinson. She's Vice President of Federal Affairs at the Foundation for Government Accountability. Very good. I don't know who that person is. I don't know if she's liberal, conservative, but that was just a common sense point of view. Look, welfare has to be reformed. It ain't about black. It ain't about white. It ain't about Hispanic, Mexican, whatever you want to call it. It's about trying to get American people back to work. People don't want to work sometimes, and then that's used as an excuse to have the whole H-1B, illegal immigrants or whatever. People say it openly. On the left, they say these so-called dreamers, these immigrants who are here legally, illegal aliens, they do jobs that Americans don't want to do. They say it publicly, and then you have things like this that kind of corroborate it. So if we don't want that kind of reputation that says Americans are just lazy, we don't want to work, then we got to get off the welfare system. We got to get back into the workforce. It's really simple. A lot of jobs are available. Do not require you to be a rocket scientist. Have a little bit of training, a little bit of not being risk averse. Go out there and do it. Drive a truck, pick up a wrench, be a plumber, do something like that. Contribute to society rather than being a leech from it. If you continue to leech, if you continue to take, what you're taking is going to eventually run out. Then what are you going to do? It's just like if you are drinking from a cup, right? And it's full of water. You don't do anything to replenish the cup of water. At a certain point, the cup's going to run dry. Then what are you going to do? Now you're going to try to beg the government for more to fill your cup, or are you going to go out there and find a way to procure the water to fill your own cup up? That's what America was built on. That's what we should be doing. But what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea from Trump to have more welfare reform? Is it needed in the U.S.? Do you think it's a bad idea? Do you think he's being a racist? Do you think Trump in general is a racist? If you think he's a racist, please let me know why in the box below. If you think he's doing the good thing, let me know in the box below. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the box below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share. and subscribe. Peace.